Hello everyone, welcome. My name is James Welsh and I am the author of Corroborating Evidence, the UFO Investigation of the Millennium. Now I said I was going to be covering these yellow anomalous lights which are seen in the distance of NASA frames STS-103-74-66, 67 and 68. And hopefully we can get zooming in on this a little further. If it doesn't want to play ball, don't worry about it. I'm just going to say I have sorted these out. We know what is creating these lights. So I'll come back to this. For the time being, I want to go to frame 54 and show you the yellow lights outside the orbiter. Now it looks like I've been thrown offline again. I'm getting such a dodgy Wi-Fi signal today, it's ridiculous. So give me a second and I'll sort that out. Okay, that's been sorted. Right, so we are now going to NASA frame STS-103-74-54 and we're going to go out the window. So let me just reduce this now and we'll come back in. Okay, so I'm about to take a little look out this orbiter window and we can see 1, 2, 3 sets of yellow lights. And like I say, we also have yellow lights approaching Discovery in the background of frame 66, 67 and 68. And these are those yellow lights there. So I'm going to now show you what I did with frames 66, 67, 68 and frame 73. Well, waiting on that coming up, I will jump forward over here to frame 73 and we'll get a look at the structured craft. So there's a structured craft with the spotlight on the front of it, and that's it as it would sit, and then we're getting a partial double image that it's projecting, but we'll forget about that just now. We'll just look at the craft itself. Now there are features on this craft that I identified as a possible source of these beams of light, and I looked at the configuration of the design and I came to realise that the double-barrelled recessed areas around the periphery of the spotlight, which you see here, just above the rim of it there, I realised that if these were to create torchlights, they would create a third residual beam of light, which was caused by the beams of light from the first two. So I had a good look, and then I took frame 73 and overlapped it with frames 66, 67 and 68 to see how it all matched up. So here we have pretty much the results of that experiment. Now this was a 100% hand and glove match, and I was correct in my assumption that these lights were coming from these recessed areas around the perimeter of the spotlight. So there's a wee fade in and out of both, just to show that these residual torch beams, or these torch beams, are creating the third residual beam of light, which you see in these NASA images 66, 67 and 68. So that's just to show that. So when I established that these yellow lights were definitely coming from this these recessed barrels, when I went back to review frames 54, 55 and 56, it became very apparent that these are all solid physical craft, just like the one on frame 73. So there are the three craft again, and you can see there that they're like butterflies almost, and that's because there are light coming from each side of this spotlight. So frames 55, 56, 54, 55 and 56, these yellow lights in the background, seen in orbit, outside the orbiter, all moving around, were indeed connected to this here. So we have multiple craft in orbit, and as I say, the lights which are seen in frames 66, 67 and 68 have all now been attributed to this spotlight area, or the recessed lighting hubs around the perimeter of the spotlight, to be more accurate. So we now know that they are coming from the craft which is seen in NASA frame 73 from that area there, and that allowed me to go on and determine that these yellow objects seen outside the orbiter therefore must be three individual spacecraft. I hope I've cleared this up as well. So the mystery of what these objects are in frames 53, 54 and 55 has been solved, and the mystery of what the approaching yellow lights are in frames 66, 67 and 68 is now also solved, and it also reaffirms the fact that the craft seen in NASA frame 73 is therefore not a reflection. So Mark D'Antonio might find this interesting. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say on this, now that this has been confirmed and these have been identified as individual technological spacecraft in orbit. Yeah, so there's that. So this has all been identified, as I say. These lights here have been associated with the recessed areas around the spotlight of the craft. Now that we know what the purpose and function is of that particular area, we now know that that is a technological object, and therefore what we see in frames 54, 55 and 56 outside the window are also similar, identical spacecraft. I say similar, identical, but identical spacecraft. Not the same one, obviously, because there's three of them, but they're all technological craft, and all this activity is going on in orbit. So there you go, guys. I just wanted to point this out. So that's further bad news for Mark D'Antonio's reputation, and I make no apology for it. If you don't science and you believe in nonsense, I think was the quote I was given. If you don't believe in nonsense, then you believe in nonsense. I've got the clip somewhere. I saved it. Slagged me off on radio. So absolutely shocking. A member of MUFON treating a member of the public that came forward with information to be treated like that. So absolute scandalous, and MUFON lost out as a result in 2013, and Mark D'Antonio's reputation is now in shreds, thanks to this little rookie from Scotland with 10 years image analysis under his belt now. So not quite the 35 that Mark has, or whatever it is, but this is a accurate representation of what is seen in these photos.